revenge. Generally, they come in the next one looking for revenge, and they come in very prepared. So it's possible we also get that angle of Gen.G where they're like, we're going to crush them tonight.
It is the classic Korean coaching staff triple down on everything that we thought we knew, and let's revisit that and find out what we can improve on. And every coach is different, right? I don't think that the Gen.G coaching staff is necessarily the type that says you need to play a bajillion solo queue games like CVMAX is. So we'll see what they have prepared. As Bard is going to be taken off the board here right away. Gen.G have second pick. So we have traditional classic blue side, red side here. As the Orianna will be the first to go for Gen.G. The Varus will follow. Pantheon, I think will definitely have to be banned here by Gen.G, as well as that Rumble pick, you have to imagine. That being said, Bro will get one of the two if they don't ban it themselves.
I think Rumble definitely has to be banned. Now, if you are Kiin versus casting, maybe this is the day where you attempt it and you say, okay, we're going to leave Rumble open.
He's the only one who's played it himself.
Yeah, don't do that against Kiin. Whichever team did that and let him play it, I forget. But Kiin was the one guy, yes, who was able to play Rumble.
Well, now it's a pretty simple Rumble ban here for Gen.G since they banned the Pantheon away. I don't think that you want that to be in the hands of casting, even if Kiin does have a counter pick prepared. Just too versatile, especially with Vi also being available. See what they do decide to go with here, as we've seen a lot of Jarvan priority as of late, and surprise, surprise, LCK is a little predictable.
Yeah, I think once we settle into a meta, a lot of our teams all shake hands together all at the same time and say, this is how we play. Now I'm going to play it better than you. The exact same thing.
Yeah, we don't really innovate, we iterate. Like, the fact that Perfect, of all players, was the one who pulled out the Fury yesterday into the Varus was about as crazy as we get here.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And Zhao, not crazy.
No, incredibly normal, in fact.
Yeah. What's next? Azir versus Ryze?
Yeah, which one does Chovy get? I think he's going to get the Azir.
Azir. Yeah.
And I think that they expect that Loki will not be able to perform as well on some of those counter picks that we've seen other players perform well, like on the LeBlanc, the Akali, your boy Daystar.
Yeah, he was looking good. His mechanics are on point, but, you know, some of the decision-making still a little bit too challengers. Just give him some time. We'll see.
A lot of time, speaking of, being used on each and every one of these picks, is ultimately they will go for the Azir here. This does open up several different counter picks here for HANJIN BRION. I think even the LeBlanc pick here works well with Jarvan. You have a lot of engage range with the Jarvan. The LeBlanc can follow up from super far away, can access the backline, and is very strong in the lane with some of the nerfs Azir has gotten. The Akali, I like personally a little bit less, as everyone knows. That's kind of my Jhin of the mid lane. But it is going to be what Loki locks in here. And see what they do get with this, because you could go for an AD carry in the bottom lane. I don't think you want a blind pick unless you go Jayce, but they have the counter pick available here, so you have to keep that in mind.
You're playing Jayce into Kiin, who could just slam Sion and say, good day to you, sir.
Yeah, especially with the Azir already locked in, and the amount of scaling AD carries Ruler can play does feel like a little bit of a overstep. Yeah. Is this draft predictable, or are we just geniuses?
Yeah, I think we're geniuses, Wolf, actually. No, I mean, this is the, like, HANJIN BRION needs to know 100% that this is going to happen. Like, if you blind pick Jayce into Kiin, he's playing Sion.
Yeah.
And we've seen
he will win
that
the lane sometimes
work.
too.
The blind pick Jayce does not work.
Yeah, it is. Well, it has worked for some, but this pick specifically has been the best answer to it. Better than the Yorick, actually, statistically. So, see what the bans are going to be here, since both teams have now had their full top side locked up. And we're just looking at bottom lanes. So this is kind of preference-based, which is why you see the Namgung targeted Elise ban. I don't think they'll need to take away his Pike in this draft, but that's more of a Game 2, Game 3 kind of Namgung situation. As if I'm HANJIN BRION, I probably don't want to play against any Yunara lane here, of any type, of any case. You could also just ban range supports here. Lulu,
Yeah.
Be the first one to go off of the board. Maybe Teddy ends up going on to a Lucian pick if he wants to try to dominate that lane, or he could even go for a Zeri. I personally prefer when Teddy's on the more scaling-oriented picks rather than the tempo-based picks, even though he's very good at Lucian. It's just the fountain laser argument. But with this draft that has Jayce, Akali, Jarvan, on one hand, you kind of want to index into the tempo and the mid-game spike, but you also don't have great scaling if your Akali doesn't get ahead or if your Jayce lane isn't really crushing the way you want. So it's a bit of a catch-22 with the top side they have locked in.
Yeah. Like the Seraphine ban as well, just to make sure, because HANJIN BRION on blue side with first pick, they get a chance to pick both of them at the same time.
Is it Neeko or is it Nami? You know? Which one does Duro get? Oh, they're going to ban Kalista. So that gives them, you know, that's one really strong lane that we've seen so many times have great success with Azir scaling and a strong front line like the Sion Zhao. Ruler in the past would just slam the Corki here, but Ezreal has been so high prio. It's great into Jarvan. Very difficult to engage on as Akali, and so far away from the Jayce. And with the front line they already have, the Jayce Shock Blast don't feel that threatening to anybody. As it looks like Teddy wants to pull in the Jhin here with the aggressive dive setup they have in the front to follow up on that. This draft for me feels like a house of cards, though.
I don't feel like you have enough damage if you have Jhin, which is weird when you have Jayce and Akali, but against Zhao, Sion, like there's a lot to chew through, even the Azir. So I feel like you need an actual third threat on this lineup. They are going to get the Neeko, which makes sense.
Rather the Misfortune than the Kai'Sa if they want to go for a lane like that. But could also just play a scaling carry here. The Yunara Neeko lane doesn't inspire me a lot, doesn't give me a lot of joy. I don't think that's probably where he's going to head here. Misfortune, they have so much setup for it, right? Between the Neeko and the Jarvan. That's why I thought about this. It's strong in lane. But he will flip over to the Caitlyn. We've already seen him play this season instead. Similar idea in terms of the laning power. A little bit less wombo in team fights.
Ezreal Nami. Nami very good with the tidal wave into the Jarvan Akali.
It's like better Renata in some ways. You know, the tidal wave feels like it's similar to what Renata's ultimate could do for you into this composition where you could disrupt the engage, the Jarvan, the Akali coming at you. It can even mess up the Neeko, but it also has the bubble and a little bit of lane power. So, you know, the Renata is never really going to be used in an Ezreal lane. I'm not saying that these two picks are different things that Ruler was considering playing with, but I mean, in terms of her anti-dive role with Tidal Wave, feels similar, but also has a lot more utility outside of that than Renata would offer this draft. I like what Gen.G put together here on the top side, and I think when you put Ruler on Ezreal, it always feels good. It always feels safe. It always feels almost guaranteed. And I need to see Loki pop off on Akali if I'm going to trust this draft. The problem is he's up against Chovy, so that is a tall ask for the newly minted LCK player.
At least there's a lot less hard CC than the last time we saw the Akali picked yesterday. And yeah, could definitely get a decent amount of work done, but still difficult into Azir and Ezreal, which are very hard to lock down. Definitely old Gen.G special, those two main carries, as some people just come down to watch Cloud Templar, to listen to his voice.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do that. As this is a full signed Gen.G jersey here. Love to see it. I suspect if I were a detective or someone trying to assess the situation that we're in right now, my first instinct is that we may have a small, very slight delay getting into game one. I know I'm breaking the fourth wall here. We're just showing fan signs. It's like, oh, look at all the fan signs.
Yeah.
Don't notice that the game is not started yet.
Whoa.
That's a lot. Maybe next time open a Word document for this instead of Paint.
I mean, it kind of looks like the sign is a Word document, right? Or a notepad?
It's Paint, right?
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, they changed the name to say HANJIN BRION instead of like pencil, eraser. Well, it says search. I don't know. There's no search button.
I think it's just like Notepad or something.
I don't think that's
apparently it was some kind of song lyric that they were putting a bunch of HANJIN BRION references in. Pretty cool sign, but a lot to read and get through. And it looks
paint confirmed.
Oh, it is paint. Okay. Well, now we have that confirmed. Thank you very much. As we're getting ready for game number 1, HANJIN BRION up against Gen.G eSports. Let's do it. All right, match 23 already. And we're getting into this one, Bro versus Gen.G.
If we are to take this paint reference further, I think Gen.G's draft is a PNG file with like transparency layers. You know, it's very high quality. It's at least 3 megabytes. Whereas Bro's is more of a kind of personal touch, handcrafted bitmap image from Paint. It's a BMP file. And we'll see, because, you know, to some people, they love that classic Paint touch. You know, it's a little bit less, you know, less Photoshop involved. You know, it's a little bit more kind of artsy in its own way. You're not using a lot of tools. See what this draft can get done, because I think it has a lot of holes in it. But if the right conditions are met, say Loki getting 2 kills in an early skirmish, or Caitlyn getting through this trough into the Ezreal 2-item spike without any problems, or, you know, some Jarvan, Neeko synergy with Namgung. He's on a bit of a tear recently. I think he's made massive improvements since LCK Cup. They have a good lane here. This draft could work. And the Jayce will generate a lead early. Just how much will that matter later on? Sometimes it gets you big damage numbers into the Sion lane at the post-game graph where you lost the game, but you did a lot of damage. I think that Casting is looking to do effective damage and get kills and assists with this pick outside of lane. But he's doing a great job in this early game into the Sion in these first few levels so far.
You can see the amount of prowl that they have down here. Teddy and Namgung just pushing in the wave. It's part of why GIDEON was able to get in there for that early invade. And so far, I feel like, you know, a lot of people might be asking, well, what's going on with Gen.G? I do feel like some of the players individually are underperforming. Specifically, this guy right here, Canyon. We know what he's capable of, but last bunch of matches, I have not been very impressed. And he has been out-jungled. And GIDEON on a good day is actually a very strong jungler, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, GIDEON actually gave Kanavi a bit of trouble in his opening match.
Yeah.
He had a really good start there. And with this early prio, it's a little bit tougher for Canyon. He is lurking in this brush, but will be seen. And GIDEON does not have smite, so we'll need some assistance.
All right, we're already fighting as the net hits on a ruler. That's going to be a trade of flashes. Namgung going to get rulers, and Canyon's going in for this one, but there's 3 people hitting him. And Canyon going to have to flash. He's super low. He doesn't really have anywhere to go. And speak of the devil, Canyon going to be the first one to go down. And now Ruler's baited into it. He's going to hit the deck. And that's 2 kills for Bro. Looks like Duro might be able to walk this one off, and yes, he will, but what a disaster early on for Gen.G in the bottom river.
How many of these early game disasters am I going to have to cast this week? I got so many yesterday. Didn't necessarily end up being the end of the world for some of those games, but in this situation, Gen.G are just quite split, right? Ruler went in with his...
what is going on here? Loki with the solo kill. Chovy does trade it back.
I do like this for the Akali, though. And the wave is pushed against Chovy, but it won't matter too much. He has TP. I like this for the Akali because look at the item difference here. The Hextech Alternator is going to be a pretty big spike for continuing to that threat, whereas Chovy's obviously going to take a little while longer to actually be like, okay, I got to kill. This really affects my lane. So it's also a little bit tough for Akali to have kill pressure pre-6, but he actually is able to go on the Shroud here, hit that 5-point strike, and Chovy looks at a sidestep here and still gets hit by the backflip. And Loki, he takes these.
Yeah, might as well. Everything you said is correct about the atomization, also with that lane pushing. You know, deny a couple of minions. You can see that already Loki is doing pretty well in the CS department. You know, sometimes early on it can be difficult for the Akali, but instead he is going to have a small lead after Chovy does clear these up.
We've had a few Akali solo kills into top Azir players. It has happened a lot.
One of those Azir players was Chovy.
Yes. Vikla was the one who killed him, I believe, was the first one that we had.
And then Daystar against Scout,
yes.
Right? It's a thing.
It is a thing, and if you can generate these leads, the Akali absolutely can work. And obviously, they got big leads in that skirmish on the river, so it's a 2,000 lead, a 2,000 gold lead here for Hanjin at this stage in the game, which is not really what Gen.G wanted. Obviously, up here there's a big lead. Casting has a cull. He's looking to cash in. We'll lose his flash though.
Yeah, Kiin doing a good job there, but he does have to flash too. But does mean that, you know, a lot of setup for the Sion once he gets his ult back here onto the Jayce. So
and Canyon's coming up there too.
Casting will have to be careful.
If he wants to keep putting this pressure on, he will be punished if he doesn't ward, and he has not. I think he realizes something is up. Great timing on this ward. Will be cleared instantly, but he will be safe and back away. And down here, GIDEON is using that bottom side prio to get this first dragon. So a pretty strong start here again across the board for Bro. As we kind of skipped the replay, right? Because we had the solo kill in mid, or the trade of solo kills, I should say.
Yeah.
But really shifting forward really did a number on them because he had to then flash away. You know, Canyon wasn't in a good position, tried to link up. He tries to flash towards his teammates, but has just kind of put himself in a horrible position after that. So wasn't really a great angle for him either. And I think Gen.G just a little bit greedy with that setup there, trying to salvage that and turn it in. Basically just saying,
yeah,
we're better than you, our hands are better than you, we will win this. And Bro said no.
Yeah, felt like the classic, exactly what you just described, right? It's like, we don't care where the position is, we are better, we're just gonna outplay you and win this one. They have a Zhao, which should be good at early skirmishing, but again, if you play it that way, it's it's not going to end up looking good.
Look at this difference here in farm between these junglers right now. It's a 20 CS lead here for GIDEON at the moment. He's 800 gold ahead of Canyon. Canyon is starved.
Yeah, I'm glad we were talking about the jungle gap we've been recently feeling between Canyon and other junglers, because immediately we jumped into a play where wasn't the best decision making. And Bro already 2,000 gold ahead, and that was at like 6 minutes. And continuing on until now. Also got that first Drake. The Grubs is getting Grubs, so I'm sure he's going to be looking for that in 30 seconds. Maybe they just get all the objectives and get the snowball rolling early.
Yeah, I think that is the game plan right now. Akali already feeling fine in this game state. Not ahead of the Azir, but ahead of where Akali normally is. So a lot of power, a little bit faster than she would otherwise naturally have. Just going for the Gunblade here first. Already has the Vamp Scepter picked up. And things are looking great for Bro right now. Hextech plus Chemtech, so we're very technologically draking so far in this game, but see what the Soul ends up being. I think for Infernal Soul, feels massive, especially for the poke that Bro have. Also good for Ruler as well on the Ezreal. But Mountain Soul, really good for Gen.G with the front line that they have for this composition. So some big ones. It could just be Ocean, and we were like, ah, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's a Nami, she's wet, so.
Yeah. From the ocean or the sea. We don't know exactly. I don't read the lore personally.
What if Nami was from a lake, Valdes? We don't know.
Yeah, it could be, you know, or a river. Probably not a river.
That seems
I don't think
a little shallow, yeah.
Yeah.
A shoal, perhaps, but.
Perhaps, yeah.
This is GIDEON Grubs, by the way, getting 3 Grubs. Denying them from the Azir.
It's what he does. It's in the name.
So, I predicted Hanwha Life eSports because I think that the matchup between Canyon and Kanavi is very Kanavi favored right now, especially in the early game. But I did not predict Gen.G to lose the early game to GIDEON and the Bros. But right now, we're witnessing it. Canyon has caught up quite a bit in farm, so that's good news.
Also, we've seen teams that are at the bottom of the standings in LCK get early leads. Like this happened to DNS at the time, DNF, all the time. Like they would have fantastic early games, they would win their lanes, and then mid-game would hit, and they would drop the ball in a couple of team fights, and the game would just end in favor of the other team.
That, so, you know, that was very true of good old General Umpty as well in his early game pathing as a jungler. Ended up getting his team massive leads oftentimes, but sometimes unable to close them out back in the day. So, Bro, let's see if they hold the tradition of struggling in the mid-game fights against stronger teams. Is a bit of an ult here.
Just pushing him out of the Shroud and saying, okay, you're not safe any longer. But Loki does get away for now. He's extremely low, and Chovy's getting some plates, so Loki kind of in an awkward spot here.
He wants to try to maybe bait something, it looks like. He has not flashed yet, and he has his ult.
It's just going to get a little bit of help with the wave, it looks like, and get it back in. Meanwhile, Gideon is like, I'm focused on PvE this game. I don't care about Canyon. I took his blue, I took the Drake, the Grubs, and all of the Scuttle Crabs, it feels like. And he almost has 1,000 gold to lead in the jungle this early on. It's kind of crazy.
Is crazy. I mentioned moments ago that Canyon had caught up in the farm, and then Gideon got the whole map and is back ahead again, 20 CS. And I thought perhaps Gideon was going to try to collapse onto Chovy there because he had used his ultimate aggressively, didn't have it defensively, but I think that Akali is just too low, even with the ultimate there and flash available. Decides not to go for any crazy outplays. So Leandri's first, actually, into this draft of all drafts is a very Chovy move to go for this build.
Yeah. What's next? Proto Belt? Rocket Belt?
I assume so.
Probably. Yeah. Gideon is down here. Full sums for Ruler and Duro, who are Ezreal, Nami. Pretty safe, I would say, in general, from getting away from dives. But
second dragon.
Yeah, really just going for the double Drake in this one.
The ward is not cleared here. Actually, it survives. So they see this, but I don't know if they can really make anything of it. Canyon could try to gank casting, but he has vision set up, so he's also not overstepping here on the top side of the map. So it looks like Gen.G will just get nothing in return. Feels bad for them in this early game, but they have just given everything up. And it is that Infernal Soul I mentioned would be fantastic for the Jayce. Ezreal as well, but Gen.G are quite a few dragons away from the Soul. Each individual dragon would be massive for them, of course, as they get stats from that, but looking really good here for HANJIN BRION right now. Like, everything is turning up green in this one.
Yeah, really does feel like they have a lot of control. Again, really just what I want to see is them be able to string it into a strong, decisive, controlled mid-game without making any big mistakes in team fights and getting Gen.G right back in the game, because it's still in touching distance, even though Bro have gotten kind of everything in this early game. The game is not over just yet.
If you took the nameplates off and you didn't know what team it was, you'd be like, well, this is a huge lead. It's a bit of an all-in.
Going on once again. Chovy is going to take a ton of damage, but saves his ult. Has to flash away. But I think saving that ult for right at the end, after Akali had used everything, means that Chovy does get away this time. As Gideon is thinking about it. Could have flashed in with the ult.
Yeah, I thought he was going to flash Cataclysm, but I think Chovy is just out of range. He doesn't like it with Canyon there either, and Loki is just too low health to commit further. But there's no objective to fight over, and so keeping your flashes, Jarvan, in this situation after a pretty even trade, you know, feels fine, because you could use it in a team fight for a little bit of extra power where it matters more than in this situation. I think Chovy played that brilliantly. He is in trouble, though.
Once again, and now no flash on Chovy, and Gideon just tanks 4 turret shots, does not care, and they pick up the kill on a Chovy in mid.
Just, Chovy was like, I guess that's over, and Gideon says it's not over till I say it's over. And
you're a grub now.
He pretty much was. Unfortunately, he was a voidling in this situation.
Yeah.
As Gideon has red smite, just drops it down. And goodbye, Chovy. He did not even have to flash for the Cataclysm. So doesn't use his flash. And because there's no major objective up until that Herald, I don't think they really lose anything for this. As, man, Kiin is not having the time he's had in against a lot of other Jayce players in this matchup. Wow. That's the only gold lead for Gen.G now washed away. I mean, Chovy likely will even it up, and as you can see, has already gotten 10 gold back, but that was the one lead they had, and it was small, but just feels like, again, bro, we're not ready to trust it yet, it is kind of my read on it, but they're in a really good spot. Like, I think factually, they're in a winning position, Valdes.
Yes, they are currently winning the game. You are correct. And, you know, everything is turning up, bro, at the moment. A lot of good early spikes for a couple of their members. The Gunblade, the Sundered Sky, and even the Proto Belt for Namgung. We haven't seen him much on the map yet. Maybe a little bit less than some of our other Neeko players, but it's okay, because when the team fight happens, he's going to have Belt and he's going to have Flash. So,
and also the bottom lane went swimmingly because he stayed down there. Teddy has a 1,200 gold lead with this Caitlyn pick. So
got the turret already.
Yeah, it wasn't without a lot of winning. Like, they got the whole turret, and Loki didn't need his help in the mid lane.
Yeah, very true. Namgung and Teddy now in the mid lane up against these two, and full control to Bro means that probably GIDEON gets another objective here. Going for the Rift Herald already.
Yeah, Canyon just cannot do anything this game. He's going to be spotted as well as he comes over to challenge, and they're going to rotate over faster because they have mid prio. This is a risky fight for Gen.G to take.
And we got some TPs from both of our mid laners as they're coming to join this fight, but already Canyon's so low and he gets killed by Namgung, and the objective is taken. At least Gen.G get the one kill, and GIDEON is pretty low. They're going in on a Chovy though, who is totally isolated. At least he does get the one kill, but again, objective goes to Bro, and a relatively even fight means that Bro is still winning.
Yeah, 2 for 2, Chovy with some heroics there, but it is not enough to make Gen.G walk away from this feeling favored at all. Ruler will get this shot blocked, but this is just mid-turret gone against this Akali, and maybe even more if Gen.G keep pushing up here. They've got to be careful. This turret is not long for this world, and Ruler is chunked down to 20%. He's going to just clear this as quickly as he can. He gets the Rift Herald, that final shot there. But man, Canyon goes in super early here. They knew he was there. They had vision. Duro finds out. As soon as they react to this, it's like, ah, I see. But the traps here actually do a massive amount of work, and the Nami ultimate is really just... I mean, it's so low impact because there isn't any fallout because Ruler's really struggling to get in here and do damage. Chovy is the one who finally gets in there, barely is able to take out GIDEON, by the way. And then the rest of the team has to kind of surf their way through those traps and get out. Yeah. And they do, but it's a 2 for 2, but the lead is already there for Bro. It's bigger now. They got the turret in mid. And made Gen.G, maybe they get a consolation Drake here, but we are going to have a contest from Jarvan.
Yeah, we have a lot of sums down, but both AD carries do have it, and Namgung does not have his. Doesn't have his ult yet either, so Bro might just have to walk away from this one, although here comes Loki. As I say that, it is going to go over to the side of Gen.G, but this fight is looking okay for both. A lot of low health bars on their side, and also Teddy has gone down. Loki going a little bit too deep, and they forced that fight from behind down a lot of sums. And also the Drake goes to Gen.G.
Yeah, Kiin did a lot in that fight by using his stats defensively and being in the face of Bro. And unfortunately, Teddy was on the wrong end of that as he was able to block the CC with his ultimate and get on top of the Caitlyn. And then also was just very tanky. And so even though he died, he did so much work in the fight. And look at Kiin's positioning the entire time. Namgung doesn't have his ultimate, doesn't have the ability to get in and close the gap onto true carries here, as Loki is the one who really starts the fight on the right side. But look at Kiin here. He's able to avoid the ultimate from Namgung and get on top of Teddy, who has to then barrier, but he still ends up dying. And Kiin is very happy to die for this exchange.
Yeah, the fight on the Rift Heralds, Loki got in early and did a ton of damage to Canyon before, you know, the rest of Canyon's team could even make it into the pit. That time around, Loki went all in onto Duro, who just bubbled him and flashed away, and then Loki used his last bit of mobility to get in onto the Xin Zhao again, but at that point, you know, he was alone and didn't have the damage because he had used everything, so it was kind of very forced from the side of Bro, it felt like, and they did get punished for it, so they got to be careful even though they're still technically in the lead.
And you'd see the group up here for Bro into the Sion. Is it really going to lead to anything? Because Kiin is Sion, he has flash, he has ult back. So it's really difficult to actually do anything to him. Lane assignments here really strong for Gen.G because they have their power on the bottom side of the map right now. There's a lot of plates to potentially grab down there. See how many they can get as Teddy is also coming over. It looks like they may even just look for a straight up contest of this siege of the turret. And it looks like Chovy will get one plate and then leave.
Yeah, does a lot of damage to Loki. A little bit of help there from Duro. Also got the overgrowth on the turret, so feeling pretty good. Chovy already level 13 and feels very tanky with the grasp. Even with the Leandries that he did pick up, is going to help him survive against this burst damage from the Akali.
Namgung doesn't have flash. I think he really desperately needs it here if they want to try to fight this, but he just doesn't have it yet.
I mean, Bro are down a member right now, and in goes Chovy. That's going to be the end of Loki. Namgung as well, also forcing it under the turret. We got a TP now from the Jayce. At least they're able to get that kill onto Chovy.
I don't think this is worth it for Bro, though. They ended up using a lot. The kill goes over to a Jarvan, is already on 2 items and has 4 kills already. And, you know, 2 plates do go down, but they don't get any, like, they were able to defend that with less members than what Gen.G had, but they didn't actually get anything cross-map, as Kiin is, meanwhile, just putting massive work into this top side turret. As proxying the wave, in fact. And so, yeah, you got one back onto Chovy, but it just doesn't feel like this Akali lead that happened early has really amounted to anything. And it wasn't a lead over Chovy, it was just an acceleration, as this is a great shift into Shove. And GIDEON is able to hold him under the tower there with a nice stun. Really well played by him, but committing the TP here means Kiin is just like, what? Thank you.
Yeah, just getting tankier and tankier on the Sion, eventually trying to make the Akali and the Jayce feel pretty useless.
The Akali is already starting to feel pretty useless because of the grasp. You mentioned from Chovy, he's just so much tankier. And obviously the belt helps as well. It's a lot of health on that item. Very difficult to burst him down, and that's the counter pick Akali they went for. And he had a great early laning phase. Against Chovy, like we'll say, nice job, but outside the lane is not able to make the same impact, and Kiin's now picked up a gold lead here on this Sion. And the team fighting definitely leaving us a little bit wanting on the bro side of things. And if they lose this next dragon, even if they are still ahead on gold, I don't think they're ahead in this game at all, because the scaling elements in this draft here for Gen.G are pretty immaculate, especially when you add 2 extra Infernal Dragons worth of stats on top of it.
Loki trying to bait this, it looks like, as he is, well, he baited it. That's all I can really say. Namgung, I don't think he has anywhere to go here, as he doesn't have his flash anymore and no rocket belt. And maybe with the root, he gets away? No.
You know what? I'm going to say it. Let's leave the Akali in solo queue. Let's leave it there. Let's leave the Akali. It's very, very impressive mechanics, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know if this is really working. Daystar had some great mechanics on it as well, but it wasn't ultimately enough to win them the game. It wasn't really about him, I would say. And he obviously had the loss. Mm-hmm. But this is now Gen.G in the lead. This is Chovy. Chovy, by the way, has showcased, I don't know how many times this game, 4 times, that he knows exactly how to use his ult to stop Akali. He's like, counter schmouner. Don't care about you.
He also said at the very beginning of the clip, I'm pretty sure, that I'm going to fight this because you can come up to the top lane. I think he was talking to Kiin, and essentially, you know, he knew he had the support as well. So he goes in for a hard trade, and, you know, maybe Loki also miscalculated it because it was essentially a solo kill, and it didn't really matter that Kiin was there. But pretty rough stuff, and Chovy still up a level. Still very tanky. Well, the Azir, still winning trades 1v1.
The Azir started to get a little bit of a lead from that scrappy fight that Gen.G took, but also from the laning phase, he started to end up getting a pretty significant CS lead, especially in sides. And when you're the Akali that's behind, I get it, because you're like, I need to be ahead. I need to force fights. I need to find people. I need to kill them. I am the counter pick. I have the hands for this. But when you try to force it a few times and then you're 1 in 5, you've done a disservice to your team rather than fixed the problem. And now Chovy is no longer like 400 gold ahead. He's 2,000 gold ahead. And he's even more difficult to kill now. And he's working on his Nashor's Tooth, 3rd item here. And they have their eyes on Baron. I mean, it's a Leandri's that he's picked up here. He's got a lot of damage for this Baron if they wanted to take it. We're not going to do it just yet, but it is definitely on the cards here. And Bro have kind of done what we were alluding to might happen.
Yeah.
We didn't want to say that it was going to happen for sure, because it looked really good for them. The early game was phenomenal. I mean, Cannon's still 1,500 gold behind, but the team fighting and some of the setups or movements around the map, some of the scraps that Bro have committed to, have really missed the mark, especially that dragon fight. I think that's the one they're going to regret the most.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see, they're trying to dive the turret now. Namgung does not have his flash, and they're not quite able to lock down that pesky Neeko, but at the end of the day, they're still able to push through and take the middle turret. Still no gold lead for Gen.G, but as you mentioned before, they're definitely still in the lead at this point with the 2 Infernal Drakes and their comp and a very fed Chovy. That's definitely where you want your gold. And yeah, I mean, what makes a truly good team is a team that can play all the different stages of the game. And it just feels like Bro have not proven that they can do that just yet here in this early LCK, as once again, Loki in a lot of trouble. Gonna get belted in the face, but he is at least able to ult away this time.
Yeah, I don't think that they can catch Chovy either. And Chovy's down his ultimate as well, but they're not able to rotate quickly enough to try to punish there. So maybe if Namgung was a little bit faster, they could have looked for some sort of, aha, you almost got Loki, and we have the turn with Jarvan, Neeko. They do not. And now Gen.G are just continuing to put this pressure on. Ooh, blast cone angle. Pretty slick. I know you hate it, sort of, but...
Yeah, I mean, this time he actually could have played around it because he's like, I need to play it safe. I'm going to stick next to this blast cone. I'm going to use it strategically if they find me. Most of the blast cones I don't like are the ones where they're just running away and they find it on their way. They're like, oh, I get away because this is here.
Freebie.
Yeah.
Speaking of freebies, this Baron looks like it is just not going to be a possible contest. I mean, Kiin is blocking the way. Gideon cannot get anywhere close to Gen.G. You're going to drop it and look for the fight instead. So, small win here for Bro.
I mean, someone has to face check. Looks like it was Namgung, but Kiin once again not able to lock him down. But Canyon gets access to Teddy, just goes in and ults, and a ton of damage comes out from the True Shot barrage. And Teddy's running away from a full health Sion who flashes on him, and there's just nowhere for him to go. Namgung as well is going to be followed up on. Double kill here for Chovy. And Gen.G are just taking names now. This game is theirs.
Yeah. Looks like this one's pretty over, even though they just now take their first real gold lead of the game. I just don't see a way back in now, as this composition is just so strong in late game, and it's truly been put online by a few bad fights back-to-back here for Bro. And Gen.G will also pick up the Baron on top of this, so the lead is going to explode. They can use the Baron Prio to grab the Infernal Soul point. We don't have anyone down there just yet. If Canyon resets, like with the timing, there's a world where Gideon actually steals that one away if a few members go over there, but I think they're not as concerned about that Dragon as they are about the massive lead they have now. As watch Teddy here, by the way. Tidal Wave owns him after the engage from Canyon. Cannot get out. Tidal Wave hits, True Shot Barrage hits, and then he's just not able to do anything. Trying to kite back as best as he can, but he's not a threat in this fight. Even if he did live there, the fight is essentially over at that moment. And they don't have any damage here. They have an Akali, and she just cannot scratch the surface of this front line like we talked about in the draft.
Yeah.
And Canyon will get the Dragon, so 3 Infernal Drakes on top of the scaling. It's looking pretty brover.
Yeah, it feels pretty brover at this point. And, you know, everything we expected, or at least that we feared, has come true in this one. Even down to Gideon playing really well into Canyon early on in the game, and then it just not mattering because Bro couldn't make it through the mid-game. It's pretty interesting. The LCK truly is getting somewhat predictable as we enter week 3 here. But still pretty interesting at the same time. You know, I believed for a moment there that Bro, you know, maybe we were going to pull something through and get a win against Gen.G until they weren't.
He's getting some money, you know. They're also losing money on the bottom side, but he's getting some. He took his gold lead back. Chovy is 4,000 gold ahead, but just, you know, if you're a Bro fan, just like put a little sticker right in the center of your scoreboard down the center of your monitor bottom there, like over the 4K, and feels still playable, Mm-hmm. Right? Surely? Yeah. That is not too
doing a lot of damage to Kiin this time as he steps on a trap. Chovy going to be rooted forever, and he just stands and fires as Azir gets in, sweeps him up, dies, doesn't care. Did his job. The bubble's right on time. Excellent from Duro, and Loki once again from behind against this comp. Just no hope for him. Ruler, full health, sprinting out them, and will taxi them back into the fountain as Gen.G, it looks like they're just fed up with this game. They're like, get us out. Let's end this one as quickly as we can. And Chovy sacrificed his life for this one. And certainly they will be able to take down the Nexus. As Cannon gets in, they pick up another kill. And they should get Loki as well. That one goes to Kiin. A clean game from Gen.G after about 12 to 14 minutes. And then the game was all theirs from then on.
Chovy, he had a monster performance. This game was primarily about him and Kiin.